guys, welcome to another video. Now this one is super simple. I mentioned it last week. I've had hexagons in my head and I just needed to do a hexi page. We know that I do a lot of videos with shapes, and I think as scrappers we all do that at some point, but I seem to get in this thing where I've got to do something with circles, or I've got to do something with triangles or diamonds or hexagons or whatever. So I decided that today I'm going to use my 6x6 paper pad, that I'm smashing this month, which is the CARTA Paper Co 6x6 Craft and Create paper pad, and I'm using my Hexagon cutting system from Creative Memories. I have had this for the longest time. This cutting system, for all the different shapes that they have, it's fantastic. Honestly, nothing can break on it. Nothing can be ruined on it. So I can honestly imagine myself still using this in 20 years time. I really can. It's because it's just, other than replacing the blades, you don't need to replace anything on it. So it's fantastic. No working parts, no, like, I love all my electronic stuff, but there's no system upgrades that you need to do. There's none of that sort of tech stuff. It's just straight, simple cutting. I love it. So I pulled a few sheets out, and I wanted to use up the rest of, the sheets that I'd already sort of cut into. And that's when I was sitting here and I'm like, okay, do I like all the colours together? They obviously all go together. They're all out of the same paper pad. They all go together. And I have to say, I was liking it, but I wasn't loving the giant one. I think because it's that check, it just sort of wasn't... this is going to sound really bizarre, but it wasn't 80s enough. I know that's... I'm showing my age. But I felt like these other papers, they were sort of screaming 80s kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And for some reason, that check one, it wasn't. It felt more country to me. So I decided that, and believe it or not, I was looking at all the sort of more girly colours, and I was looking at those because I'd chosen a photo that is hilarious, mind you, but I don't end up using it. It's a headshot of Angela after... So, long story cut short, when Jen was asleep, this is years ago, when Jen was asleep, Angela drew a mustache on her, which, I'm sorry, Darren and I laughed so hard because I went to tuck in Jen and make sure, like when you're going to bed last minute, you make sure your kids are all covered up. Yep. And that's when we discovered it. So we had to laugh in silence, which was so funny. And it was just one of those moments. It wasn't really nothing. It was funny. Anyway, so we had our little chuckle at it. And the following morning, we then had the horrible discovery that she didn't use just a felt pen. She used a Sharpie. So this mustache, I had to take Jen to daycare in wearing a mustache. We tried so hard to get it off. But because she was so young, she was only like, I think she was 2, maybe 3. Look, they were both little rummins. They never did anything naughty enough that they were, majorly chastised for it. But the funny part was, because Angela got in trouble, as funny as it was at the time, she got in trouble, but then she decided to let Jennifer seek revenge on her. So Jen was given a stamp. You know what? You know those little kid stamps? You know, they come with their own little ink pad. Well, then she stamped all over Angela's face. So it was hilarious. And it was this backwards and forwards situation that was happening. And we're like, right, you're both even. No more drawing on each other's faces. It was so funny. So that was the photo I was going to use because I thought it had a great story and whatnot. But this paper pad, this collection, the colours weren't right. So I know I've scrapped a few photos of Dory. I didn't really want to go and print another photo because I was trying to get this one done. And when I removed the coloured photo out of it and put the black and white one in, I actually really liked this green pattern paper. And it's a solid, like it's got a pattern on it, but it reads as a solid. And I really liked that contrasting green with the striped and dot paper. Like I really liked that. So I decided to go with a black and white photo for the sake of, I wanted to use these papers. Like, I don't know what it is. Sometimes it'll be, you know, you sit down and you go, okay, I want to use this collection because it's new or whatever. Or in this case, I'm using it because it's part of my Smash a Pad series. And to be completely honest with you, I wanted to use it. They're fun papers. So I decided that I was going to scrap this picture of Dory. She was in the kitchen and she was spinning around. And for some reason, she's just the funniest little thing. She's our little rescue dog. And honestly, she's so funny. And she was in the kitchen and she was doing donuts. And we're like, you know that song? Right round, baby, right round. You spin me right round. I'm not going to sing it because that's ridiculous. But that song, and that's what was in my head as she was doing it. And she does it all the time. She like sort of half sneezes and half coughs and spins around. And so I decided, you know what? I'm going to just use that photo instead. So I put down some clear gesso. This is the Finnabair Art Basics one. And yes, it's still in the old packaging because I'm still using it up. This stuff goes a really long way, guys. I know when you look at mixed media products and you're looking at, you know, gesso, it can be very expensive. So whilst this doesn't seem like a cheap supply, you use a very, very small amount of it. So I'm sorry, my hay fever is playing up something chronic today. It's driving me crazy. So then what I did is I pulled out some packaging, but it was a more sort of stiff packaging, if that makes sense. And I scrunched it up so you can see that I've really scrunched it up to get, I didn't want big flat blobs. I wanted patches. And I pulled out my Distress Oxide sprays and I went for the colours Chip Sapphire, Mowed Lawn, Wild Honey. And I did put a little bit of Salty Ocean in there. Not a lot, just a tiny bit, because some of the paper, like in the papers, so the colours and the spots are a couple of different colours, and there is a light blue in there. So I thought not to make anything sort of over the top. So I didn't use the brightest yellow. Like I didn't go for a mustard seed or a squeezed lemonade. I went for the Wild Honey because it's more subdued. And I felt like these colours really blended nicely with the papers. Now, I'm just using the packaging technique, but I'm trying to just get small amounts on there. And I wanted small spots. I wanted it to, because I'm using the mini paper pad, so the 6x6, if I was using a 12x12, bigger splats would be great. But I wanted it to all be small. So sorry, Gizmo's in here with me and he can hear someone on the other side of the door and I'm sure he's thinking it's Jennifer. So he's trying in vain to get out the door, but I'm actually doing the voiceover on a Sunday morning and my entire family's still in bed. Going to the beach today. I can't wait, with my bestie and her daughter and her other half, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a good day. It's a nice day out there. I just hope I don't get sunburnt because if you know anything about me, you know that I'm on certain medications and I can't be in the sun for more than 10 minutes because I burn. So let's see how much sunscreen I can rub into myself today. So it was at this point that I went, you know what, I think, now my phone is there because if you noticed in the beginning when I was waffling on, I took a photo. So I put all my hexagons down and I wanted to do some mixed media in the background, and I knew that I wanted it to only show little bits of the mixed media. But the problem was some of my hexagons are hollow, so I needed to just sort of do it all over, and it didn't take much. It was just a few sprays. It wasn't a lot. So I decided to just go to town, and then what covers up, because I only wanted small amounts of it anyway. But I think sometimes it's just easier to do the page and then what shows. I think that works sometimes. So I pulled out my mini blending brushes. These things, I cannot scream from the rooftops louder about these things. They are so good. They are fantastic. I did end up going, I was only initially going to do a couple of small little hexagon. I pulled out my honeycomb, my darkroom door honeycomb stamp, and it's in, stencil, and it's in the 4x6 size. So I wanted to just put a couple of little honeycombs on the hexi paper pattern paper. Oh, man, get my words to work today. And then I realized, you know what? I actually really like this, and it's going to create more texture. So let's go for it. So I decided to pull out my bigger blending brushes and just add, this is chipped sapphire that I'm putting on the background. And I just used MOWED Lawn in the Distress Oxide inks on the green squares. They had a pattern on them, but the pattern was a little bit too subdued to it, like it was too fine next to the other papers that were really bold. So this is how I'm doing my border on this page. I decided to get my stencil, and because it's a hexagon shape, you're able to line it up perfectly with the edge and just use those two rows. That's it. And by I'm not putting even pressure across the entire stencil. So some bits are slightly darker and some bits are, if you swipe your brush one way, you kind of get a darker side and a lighter side. So it just adds, again, more texture. So I'm trying to add texture to the page without adding lots of foam or chipboard or any of that sort of thing. So I'm at the end of the month where I sort of go, okay, I have to I'm trying not to get to the end of the month and go, everything is so thick that it's gonna take 4 albums for 1 month. So I'm trying to do a few layouts where they're a little bit flatter. So I do go around the outside edges of all the hexagons, and I went around them and I just distressed the edges just of the solid ones, and it just added a little bit of something different. I did consider going around the edge of each one with some ink, but I stopped myself because I went, no, that's too predictable. Let's not do that. Let's just stick these down because I'm using my phone. Now I took a photo when I got them how I liked them. There you go. See, you can see that's what I'm looking at on my phone. So that's just a photo of what I had already done previously before I put the mixed media on there. So kind of looks like a sketch when you look at it like that, but I don't do sketches. I struggle with following someone else's design. So, but you do you. If that's what you like, go for it. Yeah. So what else can I tell you? What can I show you about this? Okay, so I'm adding I do put a little bit of foam behind the photo, and that is because with the texture on the hexagons, it sort of was a little bit uneven. So by using the craft foam, I'm able to sort of squish it down a little bit and it keeps it flat. Now I'm going around with my homemade mica spray. I haven't used this for a while. I was so heavy-handed with it for so long. And then I sort of backed off a little bit because I'm like, don't be so predictable. It can't just always be splatty bits from your gold spray. So this is how I add glue to the back of thickers. I just put some glue on the back of my hand and tap onto it, and bingo. Now these thickers are the baby boy ones, and I was going to go over them with some embossing powder, but the blue actually matched perfectly. So I went, just leave well alone. For the first time in your life, use the thickers the way they were intended. So that's what I did. Now, a trick that I like to use is if I use my waxed paper, I can see through it. So I can see exactly where to position the letters when I stick them down. So that helps me get my title exactly how I want it. And my title is You Spin Me Right Round, Baby, which we all know from the song. Now, it was at this point that I realised the border was great, but I think it still needed a slightly darker edge to hold all those hexagons in. So I just went around just with a foam dauber and my larger one, and yeah, it worked a treat. So then I pulled out my gold pen. This is my gold UNIBALL SIGNO BROARD gold pigment ink pen. And that's a huge mouthful, honestly. I get mine from Officeworks, and it is the most beautiful, flowy gel pen that, because it's pigment, it goes on top of everything. So I use the white one. I like the white, the black, and the gold. I do have the silver, but to be honest, I did use it the other day actually, but I don't use it very often because it doesn't stand out as much as the gold or the black or the white. So I was going around those, and then I stopped myself and I thought, no, don't go around all of them in gold. So all the hollow ones I went around with the gold pen, and all the solid hexagons I went around with the fine gel grip UNIBALL SIGNO gel grip black pen. Now this is a 0.7mm that I'm using, whereas the gold one is a broad, so it's a 1.0. And so the black just gives me a finer line, and you can see it does help sort of it adds that extra bit of grounding to the hexagons, and I think that really helps it pop. Now I did pull out my hexagon punches thinking I was going to use those, but then I changed my mind and I wanted to just be big and bold. I wanted to go bold and broad and just get it out there. I absolutely love how this layout came out, and the rest of the week I was all about flowers, but I got to Saturday and I went, you know what, this is what I want to do today. So like I say, on my channel, you get everything. You get all different kinds of inspiration and different things that you can recreate whenever you like. So show the channel some love if you can. That would be amazing. Like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff. Subscribing is free. And when we get to 1,500 subscribers, which we only need, I think it's about 42 or 43 subscribers, and then we're going to have a cash giveaway. So if you are up for that, like, subscribe, share my channel to all your friends, and yeah, this is my layout. Thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate you giving up your time in your day to watch my videos. I know everybody's time is very precious to them, and I genuinely appreciate every single minute that you spend with me. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will be back with you tomorrow with another layout. Thanks for watching. Chat to you soon. Bye for now.